Alright kids, in this activity we're going to talk about the information in topic 11.5, which is all about finding the percent of a number. Now I'm not going to follow the pages, but the information would be on pages 296 to 297. I'll let you use the Pearson resources and videos to help you with what's on those pages. I'm going to kind of fly solo on this one, but this is what we're talking about, topic 11.5. Alright? Now, what I want to do is I want to refresh your memory and tell you that, we remember that we already know how to find a percent. Okay? So, for example, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 circles. What percent of the circles are purple? So, in this case, we know that we have 8 circles and a total of 6 of them are purple. Okay, so if we want to turn this into a percent, all we have to do is take our 6 and divide it by 8. Okay? And so, of course, we have to give ourselves a decimal point, annex 2 zeros to the hundredths place, and what we'll do then is divide. So 8 will go into 60 7 times. 7 times 8 is 56. 56 from 60 leaves us with 4. Bring down our 0, and 8 into 40 will go a total of 5 times. 5 times 8 is 40, and so we terminate, and now we have our decimal of 75 hundredths. Okay? So, of course, then we can just turn that into 75%. Okay? So we know how to find a percent for an amount. Okay? So let's take a look at actually finding the percent of a number. So finding the percent of a number is basically the inverse process of finding a percent. Okay? So in this example, 75% of the circles are purple. Now from the previous slide, we already know how many circles are going to be purple. But let's take a look at how we find 75% of 8. Okay? So in order to do this, what we're going to do is we are going to take 75%, alright, and we are going to rewrite it as a decimal. Well, of course, what it'll be as a decimal is 75 hundredths. Okay? Now that we have 75 hundredths as our decimal, we're going to take the number of circles we have, and that would be 8. So we have 8 circles, and we want 75% of the circles. Well, there are 8 circles. So we're looking at 75% of 8. Okay? And we know the word of means multiply. So what we're going to do is we're going to take 75 hundredths and multiply it by 8. So when we do that, you see that 8 times 5 is 40. Regroup the 4. 8 times 7 is 56 plus 4 is 60. And then we count our decimal places. 1, 2. Come over 1, 2 decimal places, and we get 6. So our answer is 75% of the circles are purple, which means 6 of them are purple. And if we reveal that, we see that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 of them are indeed purple. Okay? So anyways, let's take a look at the steps. Alright? And the steps are pretty easy. The steps for finding the percent of a number start with number 1. Change the percent to a decimal. Number 2, multiply the decimal by the number of items you have, okay, or the amount that you have, okay, because you might be finding a percent of a dollar amount. Then round your product as needed. So, there will be times when you will have to round your product just to get a reasonable answer, okay? So let's take a look at a couple example problems here, okay? Why don't you take out a piece of paper and follow along as I do this problem, okay? Now, what it says is 80% of the triangles are orange. So in this case, we're looking at 80% of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? So how many of those will be orange? Well, we don't know yet, but what we're going to do is we're going to take our 80%, okay, of 5. And what we'll do is we'll turn 80% into a decimal, which would be 0 and 80 hundredths, or 8 tenths, and we're going to multiply it by the amount we have, which is 5. Now, what I like to do, of course, is, you can get your calculator out, and you can actually do 80 hundredths times 5, and you will get your answer of 4. Okay? So the calculator is pretty handy when it comes to finding percents. But what we're going to do is we're going to do it the long way using our math skills. And we're going to take 80 hundredths and multiply by 5. So 5 times 0 is 0. 5 times 8 is 40. We have 2 decimal points, 1, 2. So we're going to come over 1, 2 decimal points and put in our decimal point. So we have the whole number 4. So when we reveal the colors, we should have 4 orange ones. So we have a green one, an orange one, orange one, orange one, and orange one. So 4 out of the 5 are orange. Now we could check our problem by rewriting it and seeing if that actually will come out to 80%. So we could write 4 out of 5, and then if we wanted to, we could do the division just to check. And remember, we divide our top number by our bottom number, give ourselves a decimal point, and then annex 2 place values into the hundredths. And then 5 will go into 4, can't do it, but 5 into 40 will go 8 times. 8 times 5 is 40. And it terminates. And so that leaves us with a 0 that we can bring down, or we could just say that we have 8 tenths, but we have 80 hundredths, and of course we know that 80 hundredths equals 80%. So indeed, 80% of the triangles are orange, 4% it works out, because 4 out of 5 would give us 80%. Alright? So let's try a couple more examples. Okay? Why don't you pause the video and see if you can figure out this one. Approximately 44% of the stars are green. How many stars then would be green? Pause the video and see if you can solve this problem. Alright, here we go. Now, in this case, what we're going to do is we are going to take 44% of the total number of stars. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we want 44% of 9. Okay? In other words, what we're going to do is we're going to change our 44% into 44 hundredths. And then we are going to multiply it by 9. So again, what you can do is you can take out a calculator, or this isn't difficult, multiplication. We're going to take our 44 hundredths, multiply it by 9. 4 times 9 is 36. Carry your 3. 9 times 4 is 36 plus 3 is 39. And then we have 2 decimal places, so we're going to come in 1, 2 decimal places. Uh-oh. And what we have is 3 and 96 hundredths, okay? But we can't get 96 hundredths of a star, so what we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're going to round it to 4, okay? Because that would be reasonable based on the 9 in the tens place telling the 3 to go up to a 4. So now let's check and see if we do have 4 stars that are green. Oh, we have a red one. We have a green one. Red, green, red, green, red, green, and red. So indeed, the math does tell us that if you have 44% of 9, you will get 4 stars. And again, we rounded up when we came up with our answer. All right? Okay. If you wanted to check it with a calculator, you could easily do that. And remember, all you would do is take 0.44 or 44 hundredths times 9, and you would get 3 and 96 hundredths, which we would round up. All right? Let's try a couple more examples. Okay? Why don't you pause the video and see if you can solve these 4 problems. Feel free to use your calculator to help you, but you should write down the processes as you go. So pause the video and see how you do. Okay, here we go. Let's bring the video calculator out, ready to go. And our first problem, 42% of 8. So if we're going to solve this, what we're going to do is we're going to take 42% and we're going to rewrite it as a decimal, which would be 42 hundredths, and of 800, and we're going to multiply it times 800 and see what we get. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to bring my calculator back on here, and I'm just going to take 42 hundredths times 800. And my answer is 336. When I open up and check my answer, sure enough, that's what I've got. 336. Okay, our next problem is going to be 55 and 6/10% of 425. So what we'll do is we are going to rewrite it as a decimal. Now remember, we're going to move our decimal place over 2 places. So we're going to rewrite it as 56 thousandths. Okay, because we're going to move that decimal point 2 places over. All right, and we're going to multiply 56 thousandths times 425. All right, so I'm going to go looking for my calculator again. Oh, there it is. And bring that back over. And let's do our math and see how it turns out. Okay? So we clear it, and we're going to do 56 thousandths times 425, and that equals 23 and 8/10. So we can go with 23 and 8/10, or we could round it up to 24. And what we're going to do is we're going to keep it at 23 and 8/10. All right? Let's take a look at the next one. The next one, we have 85% of 15. So we're going to change 85% to 85 hundredths, and we're going to multiply it by 15. And when we do that, and once again, I'm going to go looking for my calculator. Got to quit doing that. Okay? And when I open my calculator up, I'm going to take 85 hundredths, multiply it by 15, and I will get 12 75 hundredths. When I check it, sure enough, I get 12 75 hundredths. Alright? Next problem, we have 128% of 256. So we're going to rewrite 128% as a decimal. So we're going to move the decimal over 2 places. So we will have whoops, didn't need that 0 in there. Okay. We will have 1 and 28 hundredths. And so when I multiply 1 and 28 hundredths, I'm going to multiply by 256. When I take my calculator, I punch in 1 and 28 hundredths multiplied by 256. Whoops. 1 and 28 hundredths times 256. Sometimes the calculator hit the wrong buttons and you're going to come up with the wrong answer. Wow, we get 327 and 68 hundredths. And our answer is indeed 327 and 68 hundredths. Alright, hopefully you did pretty well. Now let's take a look at a word problem now. Okay? Frank the farmer has been trying to sell his horse for $765. Nobody is interested, so he decided to take 25% off the price. How much is the new price? Well, why don't you pause the video and see if you can solve this problem. Alright, let's see how you did. Well, here's the situation. Okay, he has a horse for sale that's $765. Nobody's buying it, so he's going to take some money off of the price. He's going to lower the price by 25%. So the situation is this. We want to find out how much the new price will be. So we need to find out what 25% of 765 is. Okay? So if we're going to do that, we're going to take our 25% and turn it into 25 hundredths. Okay? And we're going to multiply that by the $765. Okay? So if we bring up our calculator and we do the math, we will see that if we take 25 hundredths and we multiply it by 765, we get $191.25. Okay? So in this case, we have $191.25 that is going to be taken off the price. So we're not done with our problem yet because we want to know what the new price is. Okay, how much the new price is. So what we have to do is take the original price of $765 and we have to subtract the 25%, which equates to $191.25. So when we set that up, it'll look like this. Okay? And then, of course, what we'll do is we'll make life easier, and we will do it with a calculator. So we will take $765 and subtract the $191.25, and we will get a new price, a lower price, of $573.75. So Farmer Frank is going to be asking a new price of $573.75. and 75 cents. Personally, I try to negotiate out that 75 and just go for 573. All right, so hopefully you did all right. If you have any other questions, you can see your teacher, ask your parents for help, or watch the Pearson Realize video for this lesson.